Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of Fair or Foul here on WTBU Sports. I'm Daniel Maltz.
I'm Ben Silver.
I'm Jacob Lintner.
And we have a special guest joining us.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm Matt Doherty. This is awesome to be on the show, guys.
Our esteemed co-director of WTBU Sports joining us for episode 8. And we're officially done with the first month of the season, so I think it's perfectly fitting to do a little Players of the Month show.
Little review.
We're going to be going around. We're doing combined from both leagues to save a little time. Everybody's got a player, a pitcher, and a rookie that they think should be the player, pitcher, or rookie of the month. First month of the 2019 season's wrapped up, so who wants to start? Who wants to
pick me?
Pick Ben.
Okay,
Pick me.
Ben
Pick
it
me.
is.
Yeah.
Who's your player of the month?
So I just want to preface this by saying you guys took all the good players first, so I was sort of left to the scraps, to the trash pile. Not to say these guys are trash, but they're not the Christian Yelich's, the Cody Bellingers. But I picked this guy.
Don't spoil anything.
I'm sorry, but isn't it obvious, Maltzy?
Who's picking those players?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yelich?
But so one of the reasons I picked this guy, I'm not sure if he can continue this level of play, but I want to talk about him while I still can. Joey Gallo for the Rangers with 11 home runs on the month has an OPS over 1,000, and even his walk rate is up from last year at 12%. Already pretty good to 18.6%. Joey Gallo is one of those guys who is hardcore 3 true outcomes. You take the Adam Dunn mentality and you multiply that. You don't just multiply it. You square it. You cube it. It is exponential. Joey Gallo is Adam Dunn cubed. That's how I like to think of it.
But half the size.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. You know what I want to see where his home run percentage is, because his strikeout percentage is 33.6. His walk percentage is 18.6. And if I can do math, that is like 52% almost. And he has 11 home runs out of 113 plate appearances. So that's like another 9%. This man doesn't involve the fielders 60% of the time. If any
Your type of player, right, Ben?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. New baseball, it's just so exciting to watch.
Oh, you got to be kidding.
I'm kidding.
Again,
Of course I'm
another
kidding.
hot
Of course
take.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
But I want to
Just
see
making sure.
how many Adam Dunn references we can get in this show. I think this is the 3rd or 4th episode already.
Have any
At
of you
least.
guys seen the John Boyce episode on Adam Dunn's ability to walk and hit home runs, the 3 true outcomes thing?
Oh, of course. Love John Boyce.
Who doesn't love John Boyce?
I don't even know who that is.
Me neither.
He's a guy for SB Nation. He does videos on stats, just sort of random weird stories on guys like Dae-Sung Koo, who hit a double, who's a relief pitcher for the Mets, played one season in the MLB, hit a double off of Randy Johnson. Just weird stuff like that.
He's got a series coming out right now just about great Bobs in
Yeah,
sports. Bob Gibson, the headliner.
Bob Lemon, Bob Feller. I'm only naming baseball players because that's all I think
Love
about.
me some good Bobs.
Wow, I didn't know that Gallo's second in the league in walk rate, too, Ben.
Oh, yeah, no, he's been doing great. And, he's actually, I believe he's right behind one of my guys, Andrew McCutcheon. But the one thing I really wanted to talk about Joey Gallo, his biggest improvement, last year his hard hit percentage was 48.5, which is just absurd. That's crazy. You don't see that. This year it's up 15% to 63%. Who does that? There's no one who does that. His soft contact rate is 7.4. He's not making contact often. He's not putting the ball in play, but when he hits it, it's like a rocket. It's a piss missile off the bat.
Where do you find
what?
that stat?
On a piss missile, Multi.
You never heard of that, Maltz?
No, I've never
piss
heard
missile.
that before.
I'm
On
going to say with
Fangraphs.
Maltz on this one.
Advanced? Under what category?
Under batted ball.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I like all you're saying about Joey Gallo. I think his batting average throughout his career has hovered around the Mendoza line. He's up in the 260s now, and the rest of his stats are showing for it. He's still got the crazy pop. He's still got the crazy good arm. He's getting on base a lot. That's a good take for Player of the Month. Matt, who's your guy?
Oh, throwing me right in the fire there.
Yeah, we'll just go around in a
Daniel.
circle here.
My player of the month. I know it's kind of an easy pick, but it was who was left. So I'm gonna go Christian Yelich, who I'm saying Yelich because I did not expect this start. I thought after an MVP season that he would kind of taper down a little bit. I read an article before the season. don't buy your stock in Christian Yelich. He had a great year, but what are the chances he's gonna duplicate that? And not only has he duplicated it, he's on another planet right now with 14 homers in his first month. He's hitting 353, and look at Ben, he's 6th in hard ball percentage, which I just found out about that. I mean, I've heard of it, but I had never really looked at it, and he's up there in walk rate. Yelich is doing everything, which I didn't expect. That's why he's kind of my player of the month, because I was not expecting this hot start of a season for him. I also listened to a podcast with him the other day. Great guy, funny guy, SoCal represent. Also, the interesting thing, I heard he said he switched his stance after the All-Star break, where he got taller, and since then he's hit 38 homers since last year at the All-Star break. Thank you, Jacob. And he's on pace for 65 homers this year.
He's on pace for too many.
He'll break Barry Bonds' record.
He'll break Barry Bonds'
Just
record.
like Michael Franco is going to break Barry Bonds' intentional walk record.
Again, you know what?
Why do we have to bring in
some Michael Franco?
Why do we have to bring in
Every
Michael Franco?
For every episode where there's no Adam Dunn reference, there's a Michael Franco reference instead.
Why not both?
We got two.
I could tell. I'll tell you why not both. No, just kidding. But I like what she's saying about Yelich. I mean, you would have never thought that he could increase the pop from the exponential increase he had from 17 to 18, and so far from 18 to 19 he has. I mean, the one thing concerning me, and as I'm sure it concerns all Brewers fans, is that between Miller Park and everywhere not Miller Park, the splits are drastic.
Well, he hasn't hit a home run on the road, right?
He's won.
Or he hit one
He's
in New York this weekend?
No, I thought it was against St. Louis. It was
Yeah,
We have
against
the
St.
internet,
Louis.
boys. We can figure this out.
It's always against St. Louis.
I
What is
love you never expect a guy like Christian Yelich to such a slender frame, tall, sort of lanky guy, but he doesn't have like rippling muscles like Joey Gallo or Giancarlo Stanton. It's not someone who can rip the ball, but he still has not just surprising, but he's got crazy pop for a guy of his size.
I mean, he's no small man. I mean, he's 6'3",
He's
195.
He's got a slender frame.
He does.
He's tall, but he's not.
He's not
big.
bulky.
No. And I can make with my radio, a perfect transition. Yelich would be the MVP in any other season, right? He's putting
Right.
up historic numbers, but it's not even close to our next player of the month.
Yeah, I mean, so my guy is without a doubt Cody Bellinger. I think this is a no doubter. My man's hitting 425 on the year, 14 home runs. He's leading the National League in almost every category you want to see him leading. He's tops in runs, hits, homers, ribbies, average, OPS, all the good stuff. He's missed, I think, one game out of the ones the Dodgers have played. His strikeout rate appears to be way down. He struck out only 16 times in 130-something plate appearances. And here's the craziest part for me. This probably won't last, but in 32 games this season, he's already amassed a 3.7 WAR, which is almost what he had in a 162-game season last year. I mean, this guy just doesn't stop hitting.
Wait,
And
what was the WAR?
his WAR is already 3.7.
3.7. Oh my! And even Fangraphs says it at 3.2. Generally, you see a disparity when one of those sites is really large. But yeah, that's crazy. Another thing I noticed about Cody Bellinger, which I'm worried means I don't think he's going to keep up the torrid pace he has been
Well,
on.
he's
just
not
because
going to hit 425.
Of
for the
course, he's
season.
not going to.
You never know.
But I'm
Shit,
looking
that's
at his pull percentage and his center field and oppo percentage on Fangraphs right now, and he's pulling the ball 55% of the time. He's hitting it to center field 31, and he's hitting it to the opposite field 14% of the time.
That's not terrible.
It's not great, but especially when compared to last year when he was using the opposite field far more. I generally one of the things I like to use to signify a breakout is if the opposite field goes up. Once a pull guy starts using the opposite field, like Michael Franco, my boy.
Oh my goodness.
You generally see you see a sort of a bump. But the thing is, he's starting to pull the ball a lot more. Maybe that is his thing. Maybe now that he's pulling the ball, he's going to do better. But I do like to see players hitting to the opposite field.
Yeah, I mean, pulling the ball's working for him so far. He's hitting 425. I mean,
you
look at a guy like Bellinger. He has such a violent swing that when he puts bat on ball, he's going to hit it hard. And when you hit the ball hard, you're going to get more hits than just some pull hitter who's got, an average type of swing. I mean, Belly Bombs is hitting over 400. Jacob, I think your guys also still hitting over 400. Who you got?
I've got, and y'all can have your Christian Yelich's and your Cody Bellingers, and, Joey Gallo's fine too. But
Joey Gallo's better than fine.
MVP of the season in every category, a six-tool player, is Tim Anderson. He's just had himself such a great year. He's batting .365, tops in the AL behind only ridiculous start from Cody Bellinger on the season. And he's only walked twice in that time. He also leads, of course, the majors. He's tied with Adalberto Mondesi with 10 stolen bases. But he's only walked twice, and his on-base percentage is .383. That's just ridiculous. That just shows how much he's getting his bat on the ball. And, while we're talking about advanced sabermetrics and things like that, his strikeout percentage has dropped from 26 to just over 20% this season. Which, 20% strikeout percentage is in this day and age of baseball.
That's not bad.
That's real good. It's real good, especially when you're playing in a team like the White Sox. They're not doing anything. But Tim Anderson has single-handedly started making baseball fun again. Not only does he lead in batting average in the AL, he definitely leads in fun bat flips. And great moments on the season.
Him and Tim Beckham are going to have a tight race for that one.
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
I'm sorry to say this, Jacob, but if there's one guy I don't trust to break out, to continue his breakout, it's Tim Anderson. And you know why? It's the walks. You know who he reminds me of? Another John Boyce guy, Jeff Francoeur.
Love Jeff Francoeur.
Dude,
Jeff
Frenchie
Francoeur
was the GOAT.
In his first month as a major leaguer, had an OPS of 1.326. He batted .413 and had 6 home runs. But in that month, he also had 0 walks. And following that month, I don't think he had a single month ever in his career that was as good as his rookie month.
Yeah, but
just because once people figured out that they could sort of pitch around him, he had no control of the strike zone. He's easy to figure out, and I think a similar thing is going to start happening.
But this isn't Tim Anderson's rookie year. It's his 4th year in the majors.
I know, but I'm not saying it's just because of the rookie year thing. I'm saying it's the lack of walks. I really have a hard time trusting people who, you know what, I'm fine with a 6% walk rate, an 8% walk rate, but 1.9 is unacceptable for a major leaguer in today's day and age.
I don't know.
I disagree. I don't think there's a problem at all with being a free swinger.
I don't think there's a problem at all. I just don't think it's sustainable.
So what do you think he's going to regress to? Like a over 300 hitter still?
You know what? Yeah, he could be, a Placido Polanco. He could be, what's his strikeout rate? He does actually strike out a decent amount. Placido Polanco's not the best comparison, but someone who's a free swinger.
But he's a Philly.
Yeah, he is a Philly, of course.
It's the only prerequisite.
It was also in the AL Central for like 5 or 6 years as well, so I at least get some way. Yeah, exactly. I get some leeway on that.
He's like a Gene Segura.
Yeah, Gene Segura, but
he's a Philly.
Gene Segura also doesn't strike out. I can't think of anyone who doesn't walk and strikes out. Generally, those things don't go hand in hand. But a lot of the time, I have trouble expecting players to keep up a good rate when they're walking at a 1.9% clip.
Oh, and you're 100% right. There's no way he's going to be able to continue this tear for the rest of the season. He has got a .416 BABIP, which I know you love to bring up all the time, Ben.
I mean, his career average is .328, and you know what? We could totally see a year where his BABIP over the season is .370, but it's not going to stay at .416.
Yeah, no, there's no way he's going to be able to continue this tear, but just the amount of heart that he plays with and the emotion that he has, it's so much fun to watch. The big bat flips, the one against the Royals.
Fantastic.
That he got beamed to the next pitch. And then, just a couple days ago against the Detroit Tigers, hitting that walk-off homer, giant bat flip sent all of whatever they call the White Sox home field now.
Guaranteed rate
field. There it is. It's changed like 4 times in our lifetime.
I like U.S. Cellular.
I miss U.S. Cellular.
Terrible.
I just called it Cell Phone Stadium.
But
the Red Sox are there for a 4-game set this weekend. A lot of empty seats in that park.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
Sox fans will fill it out. They always travel well.
But, back to Tim Anderson, just final thought there is he's just so much fun. He called himself the Jackie Robinson of the modern age of baseball, which is a big comparison to make, especially about yourself. And I don't know if he's going to live up to that.
You can call yourself a Jackie Robinson of anything unless you are Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Maybe if you're like the first alien to play baseball or something.
But
I don't know.
With
don't know about that one.
With just bringing baseball into the modern age of just bringing more fun and youth culture and things like that to the game. And I don't like the comparison, but I see where he's coming from, and that's what I like about Tim Anderson.
Yeah, he plays with
a
lot of heart, plays with a lot of soul, and he's off to a torrid start in the AL. So I like that. We got 2 AL guys, 2 NL guys in there, and that's our players of the month. But let's take a look at those guys on the mound. I know we've all got picks for pitchers of the month. I don't remember if we picked 2 AL and 2 NL guys or 3 and 1, but we have 2 and 2 again. I love it.
Perfect.
So, who would like to start this one?
I think Ben's turn.
Okay, going around in a circle
All right,
again.
Ben wants to start again.
Back
Let's
to
do it.
number 1. You guys are gonna hate me for this.
Probably.
I have Adam Morgan, and
Oh my God.
Stop. You said Caleb Smith before the
I
episode.
changed my mind. Well, Caleb Smith is now my rookie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not actually sure if he is a rookie. I can't remember.
I don't think I'm not
he's
sure. if he
really
is.
close. Even if he isn't, he's still very close. I don't
Let's-
think he is. He's like
let's find out.
20 innings over the limit.
He exceeded his rookie limits during 2018. He's not a rookie.
Well, to be fair, he's never pitched a full season, so we'll go on that. And he's only been around for 2 years. But for now, my pitcher of the month, Adam Morgan. You know, not like the
You picked a
reason.
relief.
He's pitched 11 innings this year.
I understand, but the reason I picked him wasn't for his crazy strikeout rate or the fact that he's come in like it's that he's improved to such an incredible extent. I can't name you one Phillies fan who, even at the end of last year, after he had a 3.83 ERA, which is not bad, would say they wanted him in the bullpen. This year he has a 0.00 ERA. He has left 100% of runners on base, so he has not let one inherited runner score.
That's not sustainable.
No, not sustainable. But what I'm saying is this guy has improved so much from where he was in 2016 with a 6.04, then a 4.12. There is not a Phillies fan I know who did not loathe Adam Morgan. You know, I'm not going to go off on some crazy peripheral stat that I found on Fangraphs, but I'm just so happy to
Not
see
again.
Disappointed.
that I'm happy to see him performing. It makes me so happy to see a guy, the much maligned Adam Morgan, finally transition to a reliever and be successful. He's now somehow, you guys are going to hate me even more for this comparison, he's become our stopper, our Josh Hader out of the pen. when we are in,
Dude.
a 0 out, like no outs, like 2-3 runners on, we bring in Adam Morgan out of the pen, and he has not failed us once.
It's a month into the season.
He's thrown 11 in 2/3 innings.
Exactly,
Oi.
11 2/3.
Oh, I'm quelling over here. You're killing me.
Yeah,
I was really proud of you because you went the players you listed that you were going to talk about. There were no Phillies on that list, and I can't even begin to describe how proud I was of you that you did that. I know you listed
had Reese.
Reese Hoskins, Joey Gallo, and Chris Paddock.
One of those guys is a Philly.
I know, but
I took Hoskins off and I replaced him with Morgan, and I think that is a better hot take.
that take is too hot. That's too hot.
I
I'm
did
burning
also
up
say
in here.
my picks are
just not
subject
ready.
to change before the recording.
You just said Caleb Smith. Whatever.
I still have
hey,
Caleb
hey,
Smith,
hey.
who is a Marlin.
Somebody. All right. All right. I'm gonna go next on this one
Okay.
because
He's
Bring this
he's
back.
fired
I-
up.
I
Keep the
love-
fire going.
I
Bring
am
this back, Maltz.
I love the guy
That's cute.
that I picked here. This is somebody that I know our own Greg Levinsky is really enjoying because he's killing it for his fantasy team this year. It's Luis Castillo on the Cincinnati Reds. This man is 3-1, 1.45 ERA. He's averaging over 6 innings a start. His whip is under 1. He's striking out over a batter per inning. He's given up 2 bombs in those 40-something innings. And he has been the shiniest piece of a Cincinnati Reds team that, although they don't look it, their pitching has been on fire this season.
Has also dropped. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you don't get to interrupt me, Adam Morgan.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna add to your point.
No, I'm kidding. Go for it.
This is a stat that I love. Last year's home run for fly ball rate was 17.9%. This year it's 7.7.
Yeah.
I love that. That's fantastic.
I mean, look, the name of the game in a home run happy age is you don't want to be giving up more fly balls, and based on what you just said, his fly ball rate is plummeted.
Well, no, it's just home run per fly ball.
Oh. All right. Well, whatever it is, it sounds good, and it's much lower than the last number you said, so I'm just going to roll with it. But he's developing into that young ace of the team, and, with all the moves the Reds made, all the pitchers they acquired, Castillo didn't have a great 2018, so you really wouldn't have expected him to step up and become the ace of the squad. but he's done just that. I mean, he's been on fire. He's been doing everything he can to get the Reds back up over 500. And, yeah, I love me some Luis Castillo.
Well, I love that his whip is .99.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
it's
For a starter?
For a starter, it's
Unheard of.
ridiculous. Especially averaging like 6+ innings per start. He's just had himself a great year.
And throwing Gaius.
oh, of course.
Yes.
I'm a little
Shot
worried.
cheddar.
A little worried for when the Cardinals start playing the Reds
Oh,
in
yeah.
divisional play, but I think he'll have cooled off by then, maybe. We'll
Probably.
see.
I mean, look, this is that 1.45. He's not Jacob deGrom, and he's not Bob Gibson. That's an unsustainable ERA.
Not 2015 Zach Greinke.
There you go. All right, Jacob, who is your man?
Yeah, I'll talk about another younger pitcher on the rise who's averaging 6 innings a start. I got Tyler Glass now for the Rays. He's had himself just a phenomenal year, especially coming over and making the Rays look like the clear winners of that Chris Archer trade. Because they got Austin Meadows, who's having himself a real great breakout year, and they've got Tyler Glass now, who looks like the ace of that staff. Coming into the season, I don't think I could name more than 2 Rays pitchers. But now, they're all playing real well. With Glass now, he's started 6 games, has 36 innings, 5-0 in the year, with a 1.75 ERA. That's 4th best in the majors. And opponents are hitting just 209 off him. That's a little bit worse than the 177 batting average against that Luis Castillo has. But what he's meant to that team, just being that big guy, especially as Blake Snell's not been 100% on the year.
Yeah.
Filling in that ace role for the Rays and in arguably the best pitching staff in baseball thus far.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things I like about Glass now, and you snagged him right away. He was going to be my pick because I completely agree with you on this one. As much as I love me some Luis Castillo, Glasnow is having an equal type of start in the American League. I mean, the 2 most important things for me are that the pitches he throws move in ways pitches should not move. He throws like Nathan Eovaldi type cutters at 99 miles an hour. He's got a wicked curveball. But my favorite part is that the biggest thing that plagued him when he was in Pittsburgh was that he walked guys like that was his job. His walks per 9 in Pittsburgh was probably somewhere around 5.5 walks per 9. And so far this year with Tampa Bay, it's 1.8. That's such a more sustainable, such a better walk rate. I'm glad he's found some control. I'm glad the Rays picked him up. They figured out how to maximize his true talent on the mound. I'm loving it.
It's a great pick, Jacob. I was going to pick him as well. But instead I'm going to another pitcher in the AL East who I've been on for a couple years now. Always one of my favorite pitchers because he kind of reminds me of me on the mound, a little bulldog, small guy, going to go out there, pump some strikes and get the ground ball outs, and that's Marcus Stroman, who had a disappointing year last year. He had a 5.54 ERA, but he was hurt. The FIP, Ben, was 3.91, so he was unlucky last year.
Yeah.
Some positive regression was going to come, and he's doing that. 1-4 record, throw it out the window, doesn't matter. He's a 2.20 ERA, a 2.39 FIP, and what Stroman lives on, those ground balls. Top 4 in the MLB in ground ball rate. He's going to be doing that all season. Lock him in for top 5 Cy Young this year, Marcus Stroman. That's a bold pick. He's going to be right under that 2.5 ERA for the season. Top 5 in ground ball rate. He's going to get guys out. Hasn't allowed a home run this season as well. And I think this helps my case. He had a 60% left on base percentage last year, which is really bad, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay, so now that's up to 71%. So I think he just got unlucky last year. I think if you have a brain like me, you would know that he was going to have this good season. He's already starting. He'll be an all-star. He'll be a top 5 Cy Young in the AL, best pitcher in the AL East over those Yankee guys. Marcus Stroman. Watch out for him.
Yeah, I don't think your top 5 Cy Young projection is all that bold. I think he's been
Not
knocking
bold,
on the
but
door of
he's
becoming
gonna
an
be
ace for the past couple of years.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
after last year he had a bad year last
Yeah.
year.
I mean,
Even
two
still.
years ago he was 8th in the Cy Young when he had a 3.09 ERA for the 2017 Blue
It's going to be a season like that,
yeah. I mean,
except better.
I would hope
Career
to see
year
it.
for Marcus.
I mean, the thing that jumps out at me was the last thing that you said, which is that he hasn't allowed a single home run this year. I mean, he's a ground ball pitcher number 1, but in the age where home runs are the name of the game, the fact that you can go, 20% of the way through the season, 25% through, and not give one up is absolutely crazy. And I mean, the one silver lining from his abysmal season last year was that in 102 innings, he allowed 9 homers. So he doesn't really seem like the kind of pitcher who, when he's on, is going to give up a lot of home runs. And if he can keep that ridiculously low home run trend, that's a stat that deserves the Cy Young votes in and of itself, along with how great all the rest of the stuff looks.
And he's a Long Island boy.
He is. Medford, New York, out in Suffolk County. Bit far away from me, but, if I ever wanted to drop by the Stroman residence, it wouldn't be too far of a hike.
Listen, Aaron Sanchez, I've always been an Aaron Sanchez guy,
I like
too.
Aaron Sanchez.
He has a good ERA, and so did Matt Shoemaker's out for the year. But that's a nice little 1-2-3 if Shoemaker was staying healthy.
Yeah.
And then but they're just so bad. Like, the rest of the team is so bad. They can't hit. They have a horrible bullpen. But
100
like
Miles Giles.
Stroman's 8th
Sucks.
in ERA.
Sucks.
Sanchez is 9, and Shoemaker, he's out of it right now because of the innings. But he had like a 1.8 ERA in his
he was
first
looking
5
good.
starts.
And, I mean, the one, if we're just going to talk about the Blue Jays here real quick, I think the one thing that's most concerning is that, all the hype, all the craziness about Vlad Jr., and he's 3 for his first 18 in the major leagues. He's, pitchers are trying their best to pitch around him because they don't want to pitch to him.
I think the hype surrounding the debut has really hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, because, look, people were talking about Vlad Jr. as the next, superstar hitter in the major leagues when he was 18 years old in A-ball. And now he's finally here. The hype is as high as it could have ever possibly been. And, I don't think the pressure is getting to him, at least not yet, but it's a slow start. He's 3 for 18. He's got 1 double. He's struck out 6 out of 21 times. That's not great. So Vlad Jr.'s got to step it up. It's a slow first few games.
Yeah, and that just comes from the pitchers, like you were saying, are already pitching like he's an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at him and saying, how am I going to get this guy out? He's number 1 on the scouting report, especially around the rest of that lineup, where Eric Sogard is your other big hitter
Freddie
in that
Galvis.
lineup. Freddie Galvis,
I love
a
Freddie
Philly.
Galvis. I love Freddie Galvis.
Isn't Eric Sogard hitting like 400?
Probably.
Eric Sogard is hitting
honorable mention for
395.
player in the month.
Oh, yeah, Eric Sogard's having himself a blistering start to the season, but he's not going to keep that up. Eric Sogard's not a guy that's going to keep you up at night.
Eric
Vlad Guerrero,
Sogard.
No, he's
Vlad
not.
Guerrero Jr. is. And, give him the first month.
Give him some time.
Let him figure himself out, and then once he gets used to that big league curveball, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a little time to adjust, but, great segue here. We're talking about Vlad Jr. Let's talk about rookies. Everybody's rookie
I thought
of
we were
the month.
doing the disappointing players of the month. Bryce Harper.
We could, you know what?
He's a Philly.
You know what,
disappointed
everybody?
in all of you.
Let's everybody save that. We'll see. We'll get to that. Let's finish off with all the positives first, because I feel like the negatives are going to be very entertaining. Ben looks like he wants to explode right now. Just save it for a few minutes. Let's get through the rookies, and then you can explode. My rookie of the month is one Pete Alonso, New York Mets. This man has given the Mets a reason to finally stop waiting for Dominic Smith to bat his weight. Dominic Smith was their top prospect first baseman for how many freaking years?
I love having Dominic Smith in the Mets lineup when the Phillies play.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? He's almost an automatic out at this point. But Alonso, yes, he's striking out a lot, but he's getting some walks. The man's got crazy pop. More than half of his hits in his big league career so far are extra base hits. He has 32 hits, 18 for extra bases, 9 homers. He's playing a great first base. He's played almost every game for the Amazons. His WAR is up around almost 2. I think this guy is everything the Mets were hoping he would be when he was coming up through the minor leagues, showing off that pop. And, the Mets are having a very inconsistent start to the season. They're a 500 team. Offense, really surprisingly, quick 30 seconds on the Mets. Going into the season, everybody thought the pitching was going to drive the team and the offense was going to suck. And so far, it's been the opposite. The offense is driving this team and the pitching sucks. And one of the biggest reasons the offense is on a torrid pace is Pete Alonso. He's my rookie. Who's next?
I saw him play in college.
Dang.
The College World Series. Listen, this Florida team had Richie Martin, who's on the Orioles now. They had A.J. Puck, Harrison Bader, Bobby Pointer, Logan Shore, Sean Anderson, Buddy Reed, Pete Alonso, and there was someone else there.
That's unfair.
But it was an unbelievable college team. I mean, they didn't even win it all. I got lucky.
course they did.
As of the College World Series that year, Dansby Swanson, Walker Buehler, Carson Fulmer, Alex Bregman, and that Florida team were all there. Some really good players.
The only name that matters on the list is Harrison Bader, though.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just want to put that out there.
Alrighty. Somebody
Yeah,
else.
and
who's
we'll
got
keep it going.
who's
Yeah,
got a
but-
rookie of the month.
You know, like not hitting as well as Pete Alonso, of course, but Fernando Tatis Jr. has been having himself just a real fine season. Man slashing 330, 360, 550. I think he's ranked 14th in the majors in batting average with that 300 average. And, you know, he's just been good in all phases of the game. He's got a 1.6 WAR. He already has 4 defensive runs saved as a shortstop. Been making some great plays over there, like shoring up the middle of the infield, and just being another impact bat in that Padres lineup for a team that, you know, none of us really thought was going to be doing a whole lot early in the season, who's been a really nice surprise.
Yeah, man, you want to talk about that Padres team. I mean, the amount of rookies that are coming through for them and having crazy good starts. I mean, there's another guy who I don't think any of us ended up picking, but he's a guy that I just wanted to give a quick shout out to because 23-year-old Chris Paddock, 1.91 ERA through 6 starts on the season, off to a crazy good start. His whip is .697. He's given up just 2 homers in over 30 innings. I just needed to give him a quick shout out because him and Tatis Jr. are just 2 of a lot of the young talent that the Padres have up in the majors, and just a sign of all the young talent that's to come. San Diego is probably a top 5 youngest team in the majors. Tatis Jr. is only 20, and he's already off to this great start. So I love that pick. Matt, who you got?
Well, I don't really love my pick now that I've done some little more digging into him, but I'm still going to stick with it and make a case for him that the Nationals are going to be okay without Bryce Harper because they have Victor Robles to roll in the outfield now. Victor is a 5-tool player who I thought his month was a little better, but it's been fine. You know, he has 21 runs scored. He's hitting 265. He's stolen 7 bases, but he's shown some promise. He's on my fantasy team, a nice 10th round pick. No brag, but he's shown some promise that he's gonna be just fine. And I thought he was going to have a little bit better of a first month, but I think he's only going to get better as the season goes on. And I think Nationals fans have a good one in him. He was obviously a top prospect heading into this season, but don't sleep on Victor Robles, who's going to have a great year. And it's okay that Bryce Harper is gone. Ben can enjoy him for the next 10 years, but Washington,
get it right.
Whatever, he'll be done. He'll be done in 8. But Washington can rely on this guy. He's only 21 years old. Jacob, give me some other good numbers on him. He's what's his OBP this year?
Not good.
Not good. And the strikeout rate's high and the walk rate's low. But Victor will figure it out. He's a 5-tool player, and we'll talk about this in 5 years when I come back and see you guys. 4 years, and he's having a better career than Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper will have 4 MVPs by then. I guarantee it.
Victor will have 1. Bryce will have 0.
All right, Ben, who's your rookie? Who you got?
So I kind of cheated a little bit. I may have not actually chosen a rookie, but in my heart, he's a rookie. He's never played a full season in the majors, and he's 20 or 30 innings over the limit. Caleb Smith for the Marlins, and this is sort of an excuse for me to talk about the Marlins more than Caleb Smith, because I feel like players on bad teams, especially with boring names like Caleb Smith and Brian Anderson. That? Well, I mean, because Brian, who knows? No one knows who Brian Anderson is because he's got such a boring name. His rookie season was obviously overshadowed by Acuna and Soto, but he's still a good player. But no one knows who he is because, for one, he's on the Marlins, and 2, because his name is about as vanilla as it gets. I mean, it's
facts. He's right.
Caleb Smith, he's not elite, but he's been dominant. He has an ERA of 2. He has 6 starts with a FIP of 2.81. His strikeout rate is good. He's at 11.3. But I also want to talk about guys like Nick Anderson, Tyron Guerrero. These guys aren't dominant bullpen arms, but they're good players, and players like that get overlooked when they're on teams like the Marlins. And I know this from experience because I was a Phillies fan through the dark times, and I think people need to look at Multi is cringing into oblivion right now.
I love it.
But I don't know. I feel like players on teams like the Orioles and the Marlins tend to get overlooked because all the other players are bad. But there's some hidden gems, some diamonds in the poop.
don't ever say that again.
Well, I would
Yeah,
curse, but you'll bite my head off.
I'm not gonna bite your head off. Don't worry. But I mean, wow. I mean, I gotta tell you something. I have never heard of Nick Anderson. I'm just looking at his numbers now, and same with I've heard of Tyron Guerrero because I remember he pitched against the Yankees when the Yankees got swept by Miami last year, which was a great time.
Great time.
I mean, yeah. I mean, these guys are off to Anderson's striking out everybody left, right, and center.
18.7 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah, but I mean, Tyron Guerrero, he's whatever. He's pitched 12 innings. He has 10 walks.
I don't know. For one, his name stands out, which I think is really important. But he also really hasn't got enough time in the majors yet to really show his ability. And
Didn't he have a full season last year?
Yeah, but he was terrible.
Well, okay, there you go.
Yeah, he needs another full season.
He needs another. Okay, fine. Look, I'll give you this. His ERA is down in the mid ones, but his walk rate is
Not
even high.
ideal.
It's even higher than it was last year.
Not ideal.
Not at all. But
He's got great stuff. I've seen him pitch against the Phillies.
Oh, he's got he can touch
He
could touch 103, 104
He's
miles an
dirty.
hour with his fastball. But problem is that he'll sometimes throw it into Tampa instead of at home plate. So I mean, look, that I like giving Caleb Smith some love. He's having a good season. He's been a clutch pickup for the fantasy squad because he's put up back-to-back 1-run, 8 strikeout performances. But I know Matt wanted to talk about this, but let's get into maybe some disappointing players to start off this season. Matt, we already got a little preview of this. I want to hear it.
Let's go, Matt.
Well, I wasn't even prepared for this, but
You brought it up.
listen.
We didn't prep for this.
I haven't been following Bryce this season closely, but I know that he's hitting 230, and I heard he's getting some booze at Citizens Bank.
So for one,
What's happening over there, Benny?
people need to chill with the booze thing. I like the reputation that it gives Philly because I like the sort of dirtbag scum town reputation, but when we boo a player in Philly, it's not because we are disappointed with the player, unless that player's like Barry Bonds or they're clearly not trying. We're disappointed with the result, or we're disappointed with the effort. And, Bryce Harper has been giving effort, so that's not what we're booing. But it's also just that people expect more. And the thing is, Bryce Harper looks like he's going to keep giving effort. And, if he keeps showing effort, the boos are not going to continue for the full season. The thing is, people talk about Bryce Harper like he's hitting like 150 and his OPS is 700, but his OPS is still 848 and he still has an OPS plus of 122.
That's your $330 million man.
Don't you expect more from him?
I do, and the thing is, if
hold him accountable.
If come the end of the year he's still hitting like this, yeah, I'll be a little bit disappointed, but I'm not going to be upset because he's still a good hitter, and his fielding is not as bad as it's been made out to be.
Well, he's supposed to be a great hitter.
Yes, I know.
You're paying him like one.
If after 3 years he has an OPS with the Phillies of 848, then I'm upset. Then I feel cheated. But 1 year, 1 month even, it's nothing. Especially last year, I believe like his first half. Let me pull up the stats. His first half, he had an 833 OPS. In his second half, he had a 972 OPS. We're a month into the season. He still has plenty of time, and if he can finish with an OPS around 900, I will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, look. Here's my take on Mr. Harper, because I know that we've had this debate on the radio show before, and I know that you and I completely disagree on this, but I put a lot of value into batting average because at the end of the day, a fundamental of baseball is you hit the ball.
Thank you, Dave.
No, it's
Bryce,
not. It's you get on base.
Nope.
Getting on base creates runs.
My turn.
So does getting hits.
So
yes,
here's the
but
thing.
they both do, and OBP accomplishes.
Okay,
let's let Multi go.
Bryce Harper has proven so far through two of his last 3 years in Washington and his 20% of his season so far with Philly that he is looking more and more like he's going to turn out to be a 240s career hitter. I don't care if he's going to get on base a lot and he'll still hit 30-something home runs because no player should be paid $330 million to hit the ball less than 25% of the time. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I don't care how many walks you take. If you can't hit the ball, you're not a hitter. You're just a player who can stand there. He's got a good eye. I'll never contest that he doesn't have a good eye. He takes more walks than almost anybody. But he's not hitting. He's a hitter. He's a batter taking walks. Right now, he's not a hitter. And that's disappointing to me. If Bryce Harper hits 230 for the rest of the season or finishes the year in the 240s like he did in 2016 and 18, I don't think anybody will be okay with that.
I'll be okay with it as long as his OPS is around 900. I would be happy actually if he finished the year with an OPS of like 920 and he batted 230. I would be very happy. If he finished the year with an OPS of 230 and had an OPS of 1,000, I would be ecstatic because batting average is a dying stat. OBP accomplishes the same thing, but encompasses more. I don't care as long as he's getting on base and as long as when he does get hits, they're big hits.
I definitely lean more towards Ben on this argument. Like batting average is a good
Because you're
stat.
smart, Jacob.
Oh, thanks, bud. But no, look, batting average is it's a good one tool stat, but it doesn't measure everything.
No.
A walk is just as valuable in the scorebook as a hit.
Thank you.
And no, he shouldn't be making $300+ million if he's going to be hitting like this, but he's still going to be valuable for the Phillies. My only thing is that ground balls are way up this season.
Yeah, and he's
And that's
swinging.
not good,
He's missing,
especially in this era.
He's swinging and missing on balls in the zone like nobody's business. It's more of an issue of the last week and a half than it is the whole month because he was really raking for the first couple of weeks. It's just that he's in a funk right now.
Well, you're saying that, and
gotta
he's
bust out.
18th in the National League in on base percentage.
Yeah,
He needs to be top 10 at least.
yeah, I agree. But we're a month into the season. If he continues this pace into August, yeah, sure.
Andrew
Then I'll
McCutcheon's
be
got a
upset.
higher on base than him.
Yeah, I actually love that. I love that.
Don't get him started.
I love
So-
Andrew
All
McCutcheon.
right, so that
Andrew
that's,
McCutcheon and Mike Alfranco.
That's
Gene Segura.
that's four.
Adam
that's,
Morgan.
That's at least 3 times I've
Rhys
heard that
Hoskins,
name. That's
Bryce
too
Harper,
many names.
Odubel Herrera.
You want your mics to stay on?
Hey, I'm closer to the board than you are.
I'm just joking. Chill. So
I'm
wait,
just as
okay,
close.
I know. So that's enough with Mr. Harper because I got my pick for who's off to a disappointing start to the season, and it is the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner, and that's Jacob deGrom. Now, look, I have a little rachmanis on him. I did not expect him.
I like
to,
Yiddish multi.
you gotta have it. I didn't expect deGrom to do, to have as great of a start as he did last year, but he kind of picked things up again in his last start. But he was getting beat up in a lot of his starts this season, and this is the first year of a massive extension that the Mets just signed him to. I mean, he gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs to the Twins. He gave up 5 hits and 5 earned runs to the Brewers. I mean, he finally got back to the winning ways. His first 2 starts, he looked like he was going to continue the unhittable pace, and then he had three rough starts, and then he finally found his form again with his start against the Reds. But deGrom's got to pick it up. He's averaging under 6 innings a start. He still somehow has way too many strikeouts for 33 innings, but he's got to shake off the stretch of a few bad starts. He's going to be making bank for the Mets. The Mets, in my opinion, stupidly signed him to a contract now instead of next year, which would be the year before he hits the market. They signed him a little prematurely, but that's a separate issue. He's going to make a lot of money. He's got to step it up a little bit more for me.
Step it up a little bit.
So, gentlemen across the table, do we have a disappointing player to start to talk about?
Yeah.
All right, who we got?
And I'm sad about it.
Oh, is it a Cardinal?
Yeah.
Don't take my disappointing player. Don't do it.
That's
Don't do
okay.
it, Jacob.
Well, I'm gonna take Matt Carpenter, and I'm assuming that's
No.
who you're gonna take
No.
because this
I was
one
going
hurts
to
me.
take Matt Carpenter and make fun of you.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna take Matt Carpenter and be sad about it. So let's talk about this one. Is that he's like this is just what he does now apparently. Is that like he starts off the season slow and then just kicks it up into high gear in May and June. Like on the year, he's batting .202, which is awful, bad for a guy who finished top 10 MVP voting last year. You can't do that. You can't bat .202 in the first month of the season. On base percentage is .323, which is not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's still unacceptable for a player of his caliber. But, if we just look at his splits over the months, in May, he's a career .293 hitter with an on-base percentage of .386, slugging .505, and an OPS of .891. That's what we're going to expect from him. He's a career 272 hitter and hitting 293 in the month of May. I'm excited. I think Matt Carpenter is poised to turn it around this month or next. But this is not what should become expected of a player that's as good as Matt Carpenter is.
Well, Jacob, so this is what happened to me last year. I drafted Matt Carpenter on my fantasy team, and I dropped him after a slow April, right? And he was terrible in April last year. And he turned out, obviously, top 10 in the MVP. But I remember Greg picked him up, and he hit, 20 homers in 30 games.
I'm worried.
So I have him again this year. But he's been horrible. But I'm not dropping him until the end of May because I don't want to be bitten in the butt again like last year.
So I was also going to talk about Matt Carpenter, but I'm kind of scared because Matt, you just told me what I'm doing now because I got Matt Carpenter and then I traded him for
Michael Franco.
For Michael Franco.
That's 5.
I like that you're counting multi.
We
That's
know
good.
the trade.
That's
we
good.
heard all about this trade.
But yeah, no, I traded him and Madgum for Trinan
Madgum?
and Madbum. Did I
You
say
said
Madgum?
You did.
Yeah.
All right, so him and
Angry
Madbum.
Gum.
Carpenter and Madbum for Franco and Trinan, which, honestly not the best of deals, but I wanted Franco.
You got fleeced.
Yeah, I know. But Franco's been doing well. I'm obviously happy with him. But my disappointing player, as Matt is dying over there.
Look. I just have to make a quick comment about that trade. You got fleeced. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Levinsky gave you Leflinsky.
I was the
Levinsky
one who
gave
made
you
the
He Who
trade.
Shall Not Be Named and Blake Trinan, and you gave up a 30 home run hitter and a starting pitcher. I'm sorry. That's
To
all.
be entirely fair, Madbum is also slightly disappointing this year.
And then he goes and throws a score, and then he throws a
So
gem.
I have both those players in my team, Ben. We draft similar.
You should trade for Michael Franco.
That's 9.
I had him a couple years ago, and I've passed the Michael Franco ship. I'm done with it.
Hey, Michael Franco Island is
That's
the hottest
10.
place right now, and the voice crack as well. But anyway, so I want to talk about.
Who's your man?
I want to talk about Aaron Nola.
Yes, he's finally gonna roast a Philly.
He's
Yeah,
not.
no,
he's
it's-
not on the Phillies, is
I've
he?
been waiting
No,
7
he's
and a
not
half
on the Phillies.
episodes for this.
He's actually on the Iron Pigs, which he's not, thankfully. Nick Pivetta
No,
is on the
Pivetta
Iron
is.
Pigs. I could actually go and talk
Wait,
about
Pavetta got sent down?
He got
Yeah,
sent
he
down
was-
like
I
2
thought that
weeks
was your
ago.
breakout player of the
He
year.
was,
It was
and
mine
he is
too. We're
so-
both disappointed.
Yeah, no, he was so bad. He was awful. He did pitch 6 innings in 40-degree rain with 14 strikeouts the other day, though, which is
Beautiful.
in AAA.
What's he done for me lately in the majors?
No.
Can I just mention one more
Nothing.
thing? Baseball Reference has Michael Franco with a negative WAR this year.
Does he actually?
Well,
Oh my God! You just made my day.
That is only because his defense is horrid, which I'm not going to disagree. His
Negative
defense is terrible.
0.2 WAR.
Michael Franco in
That's
the
11.
field, he has the range of like a dying sloth.
Well, you think he's like Nolan Arenado, so I don't know.
So the thing is,
He
the
does
thing is-
at least at the plate. Will you just give me this? He is a bottom 5 defensive third baseman.
Oh my God, he's terrible. He's so bad.
I'll take that.
He makes these crazy, spectacular-looking plays, but then you realize that any other third baseman would make those routinely, and then anything that's actually difficult to make, it's not even close. The thing is, he has a flair for the dramatic. He can make crazy plays, but all those crazy plays are very easy. He just is good at making them. So
He's good at making easy plays. I'm glad.
he's good at making easy plays look really, really hard consistently. He makes them. He does make the plays.
He
but-
showboats.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say he showboats. It's just he has to make them look hard because he's too slow.
All right, roast Aaron Nola.
Yes,
All right,
please. I
Aaron
want to hear
Nola.
this.
So Aaron Nola throughout this year, I was at opening day, and during opening day, I noticed, there's something off with him. He pitched 6 innings. He gave up 1 run. That's a decent Aaron Nola start, but he walked like 4 or 5 guys. He just didn't look like his stuff was on, and throughout the season, I've been constantly proven correct. He is, throughout this point, through 7 starts, has a 5.06 ERA. His past 2 starts have been pretty good. Multi-ICU have his game logs up. What are his last 2 starts? It's like
So he went
6
six
innings,
and
1 run.
2/3 of 1-run ball against the Marlins, and then 5 and 2/3 of 1-run ball against Detroit.
Even when he's pitching well, he just doesn't look on. His curveball isn't breaking as much as it normally does. His location isn't as pinpoint as it used to be. And you know what?
His whip is through the roof. It's 1.607.
It's not good. He's having a lot of trouble locating. And his breaking pitches just aren't where they used to be. And this is also going to lead into my rant because every single year, the MLB does something different with the baseballs. And this year, it's been reported by, I don't know, 5 or 10 different sources, more than that, by almost
lot of
every pitcher in the
sources.
major leagues, that the seams are lower on the ball, and that makes both breaking pitches, and it's harder to grip the ball, and it's harder to spin the ball. It also makes the ball fly a lot farther, and that's another reason why in this year you're seeing in 2 less plate appearances, let me rephrase this. Every 25 plate appearances this year, there is a home run. Last year, I believe it was 27, and the second closest year after that was 27, and then the 2 years before that, it was 29. Every year, the major leagues does something slightly different with the ball. Just keep it the same. I don't care if it's going to cause inflated home runs. Just keep it the same so pitchers and hitters can both adapt to the conditions necessary to play baseball. If you change it every year, you're going to have volatile production. You're going to have some guys who do great with one ball and some guys who do terrible with another ball. I don't understand how hard it is just to play baseball with the same damn baseball. It really infuriates me because you have guys like Nola who last year puts up a 10.5 WAR and this year puts up a 5.06 ERA. What is going on? Just use a baseball.
But it's, the same argument can be made that you made about Harper that you can make with Nola. It's a month through the season, and obviously I think at this point, it's going to take.
I think
it's going to take
a regress. I think he's going to do well.
It's going to take a ridiculous next 4 months for him to, revert.
He's not going to replicate last year's ace season.
No, but he could probably, I would say, he's on pace to put up a season kind of like 17, ERA in the mid 3s, very productive, but
good strikeout rate.
Definitely, but yeah, I mean, look. I don't know if I necessarily believe all that stuff about the slight change in the baseball drastically affects pitchers because but then why are so many other pitchers in this league having good starts? Maybe it's just a problem with Nola. Maybe
because of course some pitchers are going to have good starts. I'm not saying it's going to negatively affect all pitchers. I'm just saying it's going to benefit some pitchers. It's going to hurt some pitchers. It's going to benefit some hitters. It's going to hurt some hitters. I just wish they would keep it consistent.
There are definitely visible changes with the baseball. You can see, like, if you just hold up, I saw like a series of pictures on Twitter of baseballs from 2018, baseballs from 2019. The seams are definitely different.
The seams are lower.
They're definitely a lot lower.
Is what we've heard.
And I'm fine with that for the most part. It doesn't affect me that much. It makes fantasy baseball a lot more fun because, we had a lot more home runs. But I just wish that Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, all of them, would actually admit to a change in the baseball. Right now, they've been very tight-lipped about it. They're saying, like, nothing's happened, nothing's changed.
It's clearly obvious.
It's a very clear difference in the ball.
I don't understand.
And again, it's going to positively and negatively affect different players. It's going to have an effect on the game. But the fact of the matter is, baseball with lower seams makes more offense, and more offense makes longer baseball games. And Major League Baseball has created these baseballs that make games go longer, when for the past 5 years, all they've been talking about is trying to make games shorter.
Well, I think what the intent is for more home runs, and they've succeeded there because no one doesn't like home runs. If you're at a ballpark, they want fans to come to games more because attendance, especially in the early part of the season, is declining. And, they think, more home runs means more fans in the stadium. And I think while it's true to an extent, you also need to figure that shorter games, more exciting games, more balls in play means more fans of the stadium. People don't want to see home runs. They want to see exciting baseball. And while home runs are exciting for those 10 seconds where the ball's in the air and the player's rounding the bases and everyone's cheering.
Or 35 seconds if you're Rhys Hoskins.
Exactly. I love it. I love it, Multi. I love it.
Oh, is that a Philly?
Yes, it was a Philly.
Okay, fine. That was a Philly. It's not he who shall not be named, but that was the best home run trot in the history of baseball.
Better than Bart. The longest home run trot in the history of baseball for non-injured players.
Better than Bart. I love it.
Yeah, longer than Bart as well by a solid 4 seconds.
Yeah, 4 or 5 seconds.
But on to our next rant. Matt, you were talking before about how you're really disappointed with the attendance drop in the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had some numbers to back it up, but
I can give you those.
I have my eyes,
Yeah,
and I don't even care about the Tampa Bay, Kansas City thing yesterday. Whatever. That just. I mean, it's a bad look, but it happens.
Yeah. Quick context for that. There was somebody posted on Twitter a picture of Kauffman Stadium. Now, mind you, it was a really overcast day. It was
rainy.
It was a day
Makeup
game of a doubleheader that was not supposed to happen. The game was supposed to be at night, and the game was supposed to be the night before. They made it the next afternoon, and the picture that was on Twitter showed probably
50 people.
maximum of 100 people in the stadium.
I agree.
The other thing
I
is
tried
also
to count. I think it was like 50.
it's a small market team playing the smallest market team.
Yeah, I mean,
I
those
agree. I agree. So I'm not even. It's not even that. It's just the league as a whole. I mean, that's just an example. There's countless examples of how empty these ballparks are. I mean, like Jacob's showing us a random highlight right now. I see more empty seats than people. It's just every part. Even Fenway. Like Fenway has had some bad games this
to
year.
be entirely fair, that's
I don't even care. When I grew up, Fenway was always sold out no matter what. Tickets this week, the last week, were like $5.
I got out of class yesterday. And
When
I was
does
like,
that happen?
I was like, I got an alert. Red Sox game starts in like 20 minutes. Let's check tickets on StubHub. Oh, $6
$6
to sit on the field.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that. I was 15 euros up sitting on the third baseline. It's like,
Yeah,
how do you pass that up?
I mean,
I paid $10 for that ticket.
I mean, yeah, Greg Levinsky and I were at the Red Sox game yesterday. Granted, again, kind of like the Rays-Royals game, it was a Wednesday afternoon. It was a nice day, but it was a Wednesday afternoon. People are busy. People have work to do. But nevertheless, we paid $4 to sit.
It's crazy.
We paid $4 to sit 6 rows away from Mookie Betts. That's not right. That's not right.
You look at any other sport to get seats like that,
It'll cost you an arm and a leg.
an arm and a leg.
To
You know,
be-
insane amount of money. And I
be-
get that's because of the baseball schedule, but I just think like it's getting sad. Like that how cheap tickets are at most parks, how empty everything is. Like there's just no buzz around games anymore. I think I've been saying this for years. It's due to the length of the season. I mean, they need to do something about that. I've always said they should cut it down to 120, 130 games. I think that's a big reason why. I think people just get like, who cares about a May 2nd 1 o'clock game against the A's? Like no one cares at the end of the day, except the diehard baseball fans, and that's the issue.
Yeah,
To
I
be
mean, look.
sorry, Multi.
No, go ahead.
To be entirely fair, I think a lot of that is due to championship hangover. People expect a lot more from the Red Sox, and now that they're not getting it, they're not happy with it. They're not going to games because they expect better, and they're not getting it. Another stat that I've just pulled up is this year through a month of the season, we have an attendance dip of 2,000 from last year, 28,659 to this year, 26,387. I thought you were going to bring this up, Matt.
2,000 is that? It's
No, sorry, 26,000.
I mean, 2,000's the
average-
average drop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the average
oh my
drop in
God.
attendance
But
is 2,000 fans.
I pulled this up because I
Wow.
thought you were going to bring this stat up. But through the same point last year, the drop was 3,000. And I think a lot of that was due because in the summer, the attendance goes up quite a bit from
You're right.
April and
You're
May.
right. Yeah.
So over the summer, I think you're going to see a lot more fans coming to games. I'm not saying yes, you're going to see back to 34,000 average fans a game, which is the max was in 2008 at 32,000 fans on an average day. Right now it's 26,000, and last year overall it was 28,000. But a lot of that also is due to the Red Sox. Like for the Phillies, for example, there is more buzz around the ballpark than I've seen since 2012. We're getting 37,000 fans a game, which it's fantastic to see the ballpark full again. It's been
but
so
is that
long.
full? Like, isn't
No,
City-
it's not full, but it also took the Phillies, I think, like 6 or 7 years to build it up to being full. And then once it started getting full on a regular basis, the Phillies sold, I think, like 400 straight games sold out. And once we start selling out, that rock doesn't stop moving.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking
Rock
at
doesn't stop
I'm just
rolling.
looking at the numbers right here, and you look at so many teams own stadiums that have capacities of 40,000 plus. There's only 2 teams in the league this season that are drawing average attendances of over 40,000.
Well, that's
it's
always been
Jacobs
true.
Cardinals
Yeah, I can name
at
one of them.
second, averaging just over 41,000, and then the LA Dodgers, who are a white-hot squad as it is, they're averaging almost 48,000 fans. But even teams that always garner high attendance, like the Yankees, yeah, I mean, they're third in the league, but they're under 40. Now they're under 40,000 right now, and I mean, look, the attendance crisis is it's been an issue for
People
years.
talk about the attendance crisis, I think, every year, just because in April it always looks a lot worse than it does.
Well, I mean,
not in
because
April.
every April there's a significant drop, and I don't care. I mean, I would. There hasn't been a season where average attendance has increased. I think, as you said, since it's been at least 10 years.
It has been
When was the last year that average attendance was
14 and
up from the
15.
previous? All right. Well,
It only went up 4,
okay, but
though.
Okay, but that's 4 straight or 5 straight years of a decline.
Yeah, if you
want to
go back,
attendance.
then it's 11 and 12. It went up 600.
But that's a marginal increase. That's
well,
not a
no,
visible
that,
increase.
No, it very, very, very rarely increases or decreases by more than 1,000. 600 is sizable.
I mean, yeah, it's a really bad issue. The league will never be able to continue to expand and market itself when you have 10 teams in the league getting less than 20,000 people to come to a game.
Yeah,
it just won't happen.
I think it also has to do a lot with the ownership of the Marlins and the Rays, especially.
Well, okay, look, the state of Florida has made it very clear that they don't like their baseball teams, despite how good or bad they can be. Every time the Marlins had a great core in 2017, when their core was at its peak, or 2016 and 17, when their core was at its peak, they weren't getting fans in the stadium.
When they also weren't a great team. They were only
Rays
winning,
have been
78 games.
The Rays have had so many good years over the years. I bet I don't know the numbers, but I would look back into 2008. I'm sure in 2008, when they were AL champions,
Yeah,
their
not
attendance
good.
was terrible. It's a league-wide problem that, without being addressed soon, will soon become irreversible. All right, let's rant about something else.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
let's-
shift the tones a little bit. I got something positive. Oh, would you like to go first?
Either one. I think I'll let you take it home, Multi.
All right.
Yours is a little
I'll
bit
be
bigger.
quick. I'll be quick.
Yeah, I'd say just maybe a possible solution to the attendance crisis, as we're calling it. I didn't participate a whole lot in that discussion. I was just watching the highlights of Tim Anderson's bat flips just on repeat over here, because that's the one way that you can make sure you can get fans through the doors, is just make baseball fun.
Personality.
That's
what the NBA and the NFL do so well.
Brand the players. And, again, taking it back to Tim Anderson calling himself the Jackie Robinson of the modern era, I don't like that comparison. It's bad. It doesn't work. But in spirit, he's got a point, at least, is that he is trying to bring in this modern age of baseball, the fun baseball, where you have bat flips on 2-run homers in the bottom of the 4th inning against the Royals. He gets beamed to the Nets at bat, and then it starts his benches clearing brawl. That's what people want to see.
Who doesn't love?
Who doesn't love to see the benches
Can we
cleared?
see some more manager ejections? Can we see some more bench clearing brawls? People will come to the stadium to see that.
I loved seeing Tony La Russa get ejected from games. That was the most fun thing about my childhood, was going to the ballpark and waiting for Tony La Russa to get
Uncle
ejected.
completely.
Charlie
I
going
completely
out to the
agree.
mound, screaming at Jim Joyce with his jaw fucking going all sorts of places.
Exactly.
It's like,
I mean, look,
Uncle Charlie.
Don't get me wrong. I love seeing managers chirp at umpires. Joe Girardi, there's a
Oh, of
YouTube
course.
compilation of this because it's so entertaining. Joe Girardi didn't get ejected very frequently as a big league manager, but when he did, that man could put on a show. Also, quick shout out. I know Jim Joyce is probably the most infamous umpire of the 21st century.
Really? I think he's one of the most well liked. I just use him because he's.
I say infamous because he messed
the
up an
perfect
obvious
game.
call to ruin a
of
perfect
course,
game.
right. But he owned up to it at least.
He did, and he has my favorite strike call ever. Nobody was as I just
Animated.
I love Jim Joyce, but anyway, here I go with this. This is my positive rant for our episode because the game and this podcast must recognize Karsten Charles Sabathia. CC Sabathia has reached the 3,000 strikeout plateau after a solid performance against the Arizona Diamondbacks in the desert. Now, CC was never the top strikeout guy in the league. He only struck out over 200 batters 3 times out of his 18 previous big league seasons. But he's a guy that, for the most part of his career, except for the last few, was the most durable. He was an innings eater and was a very solid pitcher when he was being that innings eater. He's got the Cy Young. He has 5 top 5 finishes. He's got all the accolades. He's got the World Series ring with the Yankees. He's accomplished so much as a big leaguer. And now I'd say the only milestone left for him to reach that he can feasibly reach, because obviously he'll be retiring at the end of the year, is to get to 250 wins, which he only needs 3 more wins to get. I mean, he's over the 3,000 strikeout mark. He's just the 3rd lefty in the history of the game to do it, joining 2 of the most legendary guys in the game, Randy Johnson and Steve Carlton. He's built up these statistics and he's built up this resume over a career marked by durability and, for the most part, success. Yes, he had a rough stretch from 2013 to 15 where he was god-awful. Don't get me wrong. That was the point in his career where he was transitioning from a power pitcher to a finesse pitcher. And then you look at 16, 17, and 18, the ERA crept down into the threes. He was starting to throw more innings and do it more successfully. He figured himself out. He reinvented himself, saved his career, and gave himself the chance to rack up these last few unbelievable milestones. I couldn't be happier for Sabathia. In my opinion, he is going to make it into the Hall of Fame for the combination of his durability, his prowess on the mound, his presence in the clubhouse and on the field, and 3,000 strikeouts. The only two guys over 3,000 strikeouts that aren't in the Hall of Fame are Roger Clemens and Curt Schilling, for the various reasons. Sabathia's life outside of baseball is not as checkered. There is not as much that there's very little negative things you could say about CC Sabathia, and in my mind, he's checked off all the marks that you need to get into the Hall of Fame. He's got a few All-Star nods, as I said. He was voted the best pitcher in his league at least once in his career. He's got a lot of wins. He's got a decent enough ERA. He's got a ton of strikeouts. My man, CC Sabathia, it's been an unbelievable career. I couldn't be happier for where he's going now.
Well said, Moltz. Well said.
All right.
Good piece.
Jacob, close us out. Or did you already say what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna keep going with just making baseball fun, like celebrating all the great players that you have in the game. Yeah, I missed my opportunity last week, or 2 weeks ago, but Adam Wainwright with his 150th career win, that meant a lot to me as a Cardinals fan. CC's 3,000 strikeout for between Cleveland and New York, and the 12 games he played in Milwaukee or whatever that was.
That almost got him an MVP right there.
But just making sure that the game is in good hands, not just these great pillars of the game, but between the Tim Andersons and the Jesse Winkers, who was, for the Reds, who was waving at the fans after he made that sliding catch in the bottom of the ninth the other day. It's just making the game fun, drawing fans to the crowd, and, that's all I want to see. All I want to see is just, having fun. Let the kids play, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love it, and I kind of see myself. I think of myself as a kind of traditionalist with a lot of things about this game, but the one traditionalist-esque thing that I just can't stand is people who hate seeing players express themselves. Baseball players, if the game wants to stop this attendance crisis, wants to stop watching fans get drawn to other professional leagues where the star players market themselves and show off. Somebody like a Mike Trout. Mike Trout is the undisputed best player in baseball, but he brings a lot of action and a lot of flair to the way he plays the game. It's not enough, and every team has at least one guy who is a superstar or a really good player. And if you want more people to come to the ballpark, you need to see more players doing more to market themselves, to show themselves that these guys are not just men who are standing up, holding a piece of wood, hitting a ball. No, these guys are human beings who are here to have as much fun as possible. At the end of the day, we're playing a game. Games are supposed to be fun. This is how you make the game fun. You add more entertainment, more spice, more flair to it, and that's something that has never really been that prominent in the game. It needs to become more prominent. That is the first of a few steps the game needs to take to start getting more and more people of all ages to love the game again. And on that note, it has been an unbelievable episode 8. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a hell of a good time.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, glad to have you here.
This was a ton of fun. We will hopefully have one more episode coming out later next week, but you've heard all of our Player of the Month picks. Now you get to decide who among our candidates should really be the winners. That's all up to you. For Jacob, Matt, and Ben, I'm Daniel Maltz. We thank you so much for tuning in to Fair or Foul, and we'll see you next time.